You're listening to Sirius XM Radio.
OOIDA, representing America's truckers since 1973, presents Landline Now with your host, Mark Redding.
It's the 65th anniversary of the announcement of the discovery of DNA. And this is Landline Now. After 30 years behind the wheel, OOIDA Life member Gerald Wong is considering a new career, although first he needs to interview with who would be his new bosses, the voters of North Carolina. Mary Mckenna talks with Wong about his run for Congress. Landline Now. Welcome back. There are many husband-wife teams who are truck drivers. According to a recent survey by Monster.com, a growing number of American couples over the age of 50 are turning to trucking as a second career. Landline Now's Mary Mckenna says for one OOIDA Life member, Congress could be his second career.
Gerald Wong has been a long-haul trucker for 30 years. He and his wife, Susan, have traveled a lot of miles together in their Volvo 2007 V&L 780. But Wong's next trip, he'll take alone. He's running for North Carolina's 6th Congressional District. I sat down with Gerald, an OOIDA Life member, and asked him what led him to that decision.
Straight up, Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders has shown me, I'm 64 years old. Bernie Sanders is a bit older than me, just a little bit. But he showed me that you're never too old to throw your hat in the ring to help guide America in the right direction. And I'm coming up on retirement. So I figured I had nothing to lose. I've been paying attention to politics. The left and the right and the crazies for the last 35 years. So I've decided I know as much about politics, I figure, as any newcomer to the Congress or the Senate by just listening and reading and getting my own personal perspective on politics. So this is why I've decided that I have enough experience just from tuning into politics. What us truckers do is listen. This is why I feel like I have the knowledge and the herewithal to go ahead and go to the Congress and cast my votes and work with them.
You are running in a relatively Republican district in North Carolina.
Let's call it gerrymandered. It's a gerrymandered Republican district.
You have quite a few opponents for the upcoming primary. Tell me how it's shaping up so far.
We have a newcomer, Patrick Walker, no relation to the Republican that we're trying to kick out, Mark Walker, and he's a confessed moderate Democrat. We have a young man, 28 years old, Ryan Watts. He's also a moderate Democrat. He's purporting to be a millennial progressive, but I don't see him that way. And we have a lady running, Margot Horney. She's big on education, and I like her a lot. She has a good agenda and a good political ideas, but I think mine are better, and I think I can get mine through better. But they're all good candidates.
So right now, anyway, there's no trash talking amongst you Democrats. It's all one big love fest.
No, that's not me. They stay away from criticizing in a direct manner. I don't. I will criticize them. If they say something that I don't like, I will criticize them right out. And I've already got in trouble over that with the Democratic Party here. So, but I don't care. That's not me. I'm not going to sit back and say that was the right thing or I agree with something I don't agree with.
You're a native of California, the son of an immigrant from China. How do you feel about President Donald Trump's immigration policy?
It's really not his. It's really the Republican Party's stance. They're leading Mr. Trump around by the nose. and he's following him, you know. So as far as I'm concerned, when we're talking about, if we're talking about DACA, the deferred immigrant children, they are Americans. And these kids grew up here, and they're not DACA kids, they're not DACA recipients, they are DACA Americans. And we should repatriate them as soon as possible. There's no reason for them to live in fear every day about going to Walmart and getting picked up by ICE and kicked out of the country. So that's my feeling on that, and I catch a lot of hell for that one too.
You are in an industry that leans a little to the right, wouldn't you say?
No, I would say it leans a whole lot to the right.
Okay, so what do you tell other truckers? How do you convince them that you're on their side?
Something that affects truck drivers is universal health care. And this is what I am pushing the most, is universal, single payer, or whatever you want to call it, Medicare for all. The truck drivers have to realize that if we can get that through, that that's going to cover Medicaid, Medicare, that's going to cover vision, dental, substance abuse, mental health. It's all going to be on one card. You go in, you swipe it, and they take you in. There is no deductible, there's no premium, and there's no copays. It reduces the amount they have to pay for insurance by probably thousands of dollars. Yes, it's run by the government. Yes, it's socialized, but all insurance companies are socialized. And the only difference between socialized insurance companies and letting the government run the health insurance program is you're not paying one CEO, $23 million a year. So this is how the cost comes down.
Well, tell me about your childhood. You know, you son of an immigrant from China, and tell me what it was like growing up.
Well, I went to, when I was my youngest memories, I went to mostly black schools as I was growing up into junior high, and I got a lot of the racism and everything, and believe it or not, from the black kids, because I went to majority black schools when I was growing up. My father and mother divorced when I was at a young age. I got in trouble with our justice system at a young age as well, and I pretty much got put in juvenile at the age of 14, and I've been pretty much responsible for myself from that age on. I got out of what they call juvenile, or they put me in what's called group homes and things like that. But in these group homes, you were allowed to go out and work and earn some money. And I would, that's when I started picking apples and hoeing beans and bucking hay. I did all that until I went into the military. And I spent 6 years, a 6-year commitment, 2 years during the Vietnam War. And then when I got out of that, I became a cab driver. I did a whole bunch of other things. I got into trucking, and finally, my wife and I own our own truck and trailer now. And I'm thinking I think I can get some Democratic votes. I mean, some Republican votes, because I'm that guy they always like to say, you know, you need to pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. And I think I'm a guy, that's a Democrat you should try to emulate. So I think I can get some Republican votes on just my history.
Obviously, more than just truckers are going to vote for you in the primary and, if you make it, in the general election. But while we're talking trucking issues, how do you feel about electronic logging devices?
They're ridiculous. There is nothing that ELD does that you can't do with a clock and an odometer in your truck. If you get stopped by the DOT and they want to check how far you've driven, how fast you've driven, they just look at your log, what were your starting miles, what time did you start, how far did you drive, divide that by the hours you were driving, and there you go. You got it. It's all right there. Let me say something to the truckers out there that why I want to. When I go to Congress too, I am a trucker, and there are certain bills that I want to get passed for the truckers, and one of them is to mandate or get a regulation out there that all shippers and receivers that use Class 8 transportation should have to allow 8 hours of downtime before or after the driver gets to they need to set aside a spot on their property, because we'll get in there and we'll deliver, and then they'll kick us right off their property. You can't stay here, whether you're out of hours or not. They don't go by the rules. You know, they'll kick us out of there. They'll say you can't stay here. I would like to see that every business out there that utilizes Class 8 type trucks, over-the-road truckers, to be mandated to set aside spaces for these truckers to get 8 hours of downtime, either before or after their delivery or pickup.
Yeah, safe parking in this country is a huge, huge problem. And there's no little towns and communities willing to have truck parking in and around their communities because, you know, truckers, you bring the riffraff with you.
Yeah, my wife was, when I met her, she's kind of, her friends were like, you want to go out with that trucker? Ew. You know? So, but, you know, she was cool. We talked on the phone a while, but I don't think a lot of people understand that we're not riffraff. We're family people. We have kids, daughters. We're trying to take care of our parents. We're raising our children. We got a mortgage. We have all the problems, health problems, and everything else that they have. So it's just another job, except for our job keeps us on the road anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months at a time, sometimes, depending on where we're going and how the loads work out and everything. And if they understood that, if there was a reality show that would ride with a trucker for a year or two, I think people would be a lot more sympathetic to the trucker.
If you don't win the primary, or if you make it through and you go on to the general election, and let's say, devil's advocate here, you don't win, is this a one-time shot, Jerry? Well,
it's a one-time. Right now, I figure like it's a one-time shot. I mean, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to give it the gusto. And if I don't get elected, I'm thinking it's a one-time shot. But I'll leave that open. But I'll tell you what I am going to do. I'm going to do something I've never been able to do because of my career choices and what I've been doing. I'm going to stay very involved with the Democratic Party. And hopefully I'm going to attend committee meetings and maybe become a committee chairman or something. But I'm going to stay very involved in politics when I get retired.
Well, as you know, being a life member at OOIDA, that it's not just about the association going to Washington. It's about everybody getting their voice heard. People have to be engaged and have to be involved if you want something passed, you know, that you're behind, something that you're passionate about.
And that's why I appreciate you calling me, Mary, and talking to me, because I wanted to make sure that the truckers understand that, I'm a Democrat, I'm a progressive, but what I want is what they should want, and what they should want is affordable health care, and also a policy that helps truckers find places to park. That's the biggest thing. And I think detention ought to be mandatory. This shouldn't be left up to the shipper or the receiver if they want to pay detention money. This should be mandatory money, and not after 2 hours of waiting.
Wong is primarily financing his own campaign and is not right now soliciting any political contributions, but he adds that would change if he wins the May 8th primary. For Landline Now, I'm Mary Mckenna.